From fist bumping the guy that will take your life less than an hour later, to being swarmed by over 100 of your ops after they disarm your security. This is Los Angeles, California. Now, a rapper is in more danger in his home city than he is out of town. This is nothing new. When you hear about something happening to a rapper, 9 times out of 10, he was in his home city. But one thing actors, influencers, and rappers have in common when tragedy strikes, a lot of the times it happens in LA. No matter where an actor is from, when they go, it's somewhere in LA County, and when a rapper dies out of town, LA has always been a hotspot. Starting with hometown rappers, I said in a previous video that what happened to Draco the Ruler made no sense, so much so that it had to be the subject of much planning and premeditated events. He was at the Once Upon a Time in LA Music Festival, one of the music festivals with the least amount of casualties historically, and according to an eyewitness account, there were only 2 ways into the festival. The main entrance with only 1 security guard and a checkpoint off of a main street. Unlike a lot of rappers, Draco actually had a security guard with him, but the security guard had been searched and stripped of his weapon as they entered. Once Draco and his brother Ralphie were inside the festival grounds, 6 guys in ski masks dressed in all red threw insults at the group. A brawl ensued, and despite an eyewitness stating that he had seen multiple police officers before entering, as the fight dragged on for minutes, not even a security guard could be found. And after the small fight, which he believed to be a decoy, ended, 113 men in red swarmed the group, and at least one of them ended up taking Draco's life. Now, this eyewitness also states that the 113 attackers all took off their red hoodies and ran away at the same time. There were only 2 entrances, and it took place in the $350 million stadium. All of the cameras that must have been there to capture every moment, and no one has ever been identified. And okay, Draco was a street guy, and this is usually how these things end. But for all of his attackers to come in matching red hoodies, why even take them off? You mean to tell me that all of these guys touched these hoodies and left them at the crime scene, and 4 years later, we still know nothing? Now, believe it or not, as of a couple years ago, New York ranked as the deadliest city for rappers. And it's not too hard to believe, as just looking at the deaths of guys like Shy Watts and Rajiz, and the situation of Nick Blicky, who allegedly shook hands with his killer right before he was shot. But 2 main differences with the situations in LA and New York is that in New York, you're much more likely to be murdered if you're from NYC. Much of the incidents here can be chalked up to gang violence, but in LA, strangers aren't just as much danger as natives. And in New York, many of these murders tend to be solved whether it takes a month or 2 years. And even the incidents that happen in LA that get solved, they still don't make sense. But moving on, Pop Smoke. He was in Paris a month before he found himself in the Airbnb in LA where he lost his life. Now, whether you want to believe he got backdoored by the girl he was with or even one of his friends, all of that means nothing. Hiring an off-duty police officer for security in most cities is no more than $75 an hour, and it costs at least $1,500 to fly round trip from New York to Paris. My point is, it doesn't matter if someone in the house set him up or if it was completely random. Something as simple as $75 an hour could have prevented all of it. A man as high profile as Pop Smoke shouldn't have been moving anywhere without security, let alone Los Angeles. PNB Rock. Now, even LA natives agree that going to a Waffle House in South Central LA with just your girl and no security is not a smart move. But the most cold-blooded part about the story is that according to law enforcement, this is PNB Rock fist bumping the guy that called the killers in as he stood in line. Now, people get robbed every day, especially in LA. But a very small percentage of these turn fatal, and they usually only take a turn like this once the victim does something crazy like reaching for the assailant's weapon or their own. Now, a firearm belonging to PNB Rock was recovered from the scene, but it was reportedly still in his waistband. And him not being able to pull it out lines up with the statement his girlfriend gave police that as soon as the 17-year-old robber got the jewelry off of both parties, he just began firing. Now, there are many questions raised in a situation like this, because this is not a normal robbery. Taking over $200,000 worth of jewelry from a rapper is not something that usually ends like this. It often happens behind the scenes, but rappers get their jewelry taken all the time. Some file insurance claims, some just take the loss, and some just pay people to get it back for them. But why would someone that just came up on such a score make it hot like this? One thing a criminal knows about a rapper is that the rapper is not going to call the police or give them an accurate description. And especially when you're over 2,000 miles away from this rapper's home city, it's unlikely that he knows anyone in LA he can trust to get revenge on you. I lived in the hood for a long time, and I can tell you that most robbers are not killers, and most killers that rob can do one without the other. The only reason I can think of is that PNB Rock was meant to die here, and his jewels were the payment. Not a very good deal, yeah, but it makes sense when you consider that a lot of the time, when someone is pulling the strings and sending someone off to do the dirty work, payment is often unreliable. Young Dolph's killers only got $800. When the O-Block guys ran down to one of the most surveilled and protected areas in Chicago to kill FBG Duck after allegedly getting a call from Lil Durk's older brother, most of them got nothing. All Muab got was a plane ride and a shot at a music career that only lasted a year before they all ended up in the feds. Either way, Rock's case being solved and closed doesn't mean it makes any more sense than it did before. Now moving on, there's only so much that I can say on an open Fed case, and also with Lil Durk, it seems that the feds might have rushed a few things, which is why we see a superseding indictment, and instead of being charged with murder for hire, he's now being charged with stalking resulting in death. But with all the co-conspirators on this case, one of them, number 4, is alleged to be a California resident, and according to the feds, he's also the one that passed on the information that Quando Rondo was in LA. Now just as a disclaimer, everyone is innocent until proven guilty, and with how stupid it would be to buy gloves and masks, rent cars, buy plane tickets and hotel rooms all on a company card, and then do something like this in Beverly Hills, I'd like to think that at least one person accused in this situation will be smart enough to know that this is a send-off mission, Mission Impossible. And people on the internet have pointed at Big U and even Brick Baby as being the co-conspirators that gave up Quando Rondo's location, but I doubt the feds will have them in custody and not add them to the case if so. And if Brick Baby was an informant like people accuse him of being, he definitely wouldn't be in custody. So this whole case is out of order, but as I said before, them people don't come get you unless they got you. This is not LAPD, this is the FBI. But regardless of who's responsible, Beverly Hills is not somewhere you'd expect something like this to happen. The word brazen doesn't even cut it. If someone from LA did drop the location, surely they would have also mentioned that certain places in the city are more likely to draw attention. This is not Gary, Indiana or St. Louis. The area this happened in is full of millionaires and businesses with 4K cameras hanging off the entrance. I mentioned Young Dolph earlier, but if you remember back in 2017, an attempt was made on his life in front of a 4-star hotel, right around the corner from the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And Yo Gotti, the brother of the guy that was eventually implicated in Dolph's murder years later, was even named as a person of interest by LAPD. But this went nowhere. Dolph got into an argument with 3 unnamed men before being knocked to the ground, and one of the suspects produced a weapon and fired several shots. Now, one guy from Tennessee, most likely Memphis, Tennessee, was arrested, but he was also later released without any charges. And of course, in the following years, LA will see the death of Nipsey Hussle and many more. And now with Big U in custody, there's been a lot of talk about his connection to the incident at Nipsey's store, but the feds move at their own pace, so we'll get more information on that when we do. But a scary fact I came across is that the Los Angeles County Department of Medical Examiner is known as the coroner of the stars. And it's been called that for a while because, as I said at the beginning, this is where a lot of famous people have died. Now, a lot of this is just because simply these people lived in LA, it's the entertainment capital of the world, but there's also a lot of famous people that moved to Texas and Puerto Rico due to the tax status of those areas. Why anyone would willingly move to California and pay that state tax, I'll never understand. And the coroner's office also has a gift shop, which is the exact type of dark humor I don't like, and another reason I'm scared of LA. And no, this is not a gift shop started by some California small business used to capitalize off the popularity of the coroner's office. This is actually the gift shop of the medical examiner. As there is a market for this type of thing, just think of all of the people that go and camp outside their favorite celebrity's house when they pass. It's also a very overworked office, as with only about 260 employees, they have to handle the roughly 60 to 80,000 deaths in LA County each year. They do handle the whole LA County, which is more populous than 40 states, but if you ever become famous, keep your trips to LA short. I'm sure the locals don't want you out of towners there for too long anyway. Also, California is huge. You can be 6 hours away from LA and still be in California, so just remember that. I'm from a big city, so my rule is anywhere that I move cannot be bigger than the city that I'm from. Why? Well, because it takes too long to learn a city, to find all the good food, all the places you should avoid, and all the low-key spots you should visit. And LA is bigger than my home city, so that's off the list for me. I'd like to go to Malibu one time, but I honestly don't know if I can even afford to spend a full day there. But anyway, thanks for watching as always, and thank you guys for 71K subscribers. It seems like not too long ago, I could barely secure 3,000 subs, but with faith and the support of you guys, anything is possible. And don't forget to chase your dream, no matter what it is. Unless it's something illegal, of course. Don't take my quote out of context and do something crazy.